You also talk about Harambee Stars because for Harambee Stars, their quest is to win the Intercontinental Cup. It is hosted in India, so the team traveled to India. The head coach, Sebastian Minye, joined the other technical staff who will be leading that team, and that includes this man, Kimanzi, who will be in charge of that team because Sebastian Minye will just be watching how the boys plays. Remember, Sebastian had some issues to do with his traveling document, but this is what the two men had to say together with some of the players before they left the country, headed to India.
With the new situation within our football now, with the new coach, Sebastian, I think it's always important that for him to get an opportunity, you know, to assess the locally available talents. I think for such a tournament, it's quite a big step and very innovative. That at least before the bigger part of the job starts, at least you have an idea of what we have. So it is after the two matches that we did in Nairobi. I think it's only fair that even some more talents can be given an opportunity to be discovered from this tournament.
It's important to have, again, some answer about some locals player. What is complicated for this tournament is we lost some players, some best local players from Gor Mahia, from AFC and other clubs. And all my franchise staff was there with me because we have some administrative problem for visa. And we decide finally to let Kimanzi manage the team, and I will be there to help him during the training session and to be supervisor because I want to see some things about my players. You have other opponents from other continents. It will be interesting for that.
Yes, I don't know if I'm one of the people who are happy because we are seeing the face of Kimanzi in the national team. It is a man that I've always had a lot of belief. I don't know if it's me, this is personal, but I think it's something positive that Kimanzi is a part of this technical bench under now Sebastian Minye. But for this outing, Kimanzi will be the man in charge.
It's not just you, Moses. I'm also a Kimanzi man when it comes to matters Harambee Stars. I think he had a brilliant stint with them. It's unfortunate he got the sack. That time, it was just petty stuff that led to his dismissal. It wasn't to do with performance. This guy is a performer, especially with Harambee Stars. He brought back that mojo. He brought back the flair that Harambee Stars had been missing for about 15 odd years or so. And he brought it back in a flash. It's good to have him in India. It's a perfect start for renewing that acquaintanceship between him and the national team. And of course, now there's Sebastian Minye, so there's two of them. They can share ideas and almost at the same level. Kimanzi should not feel like this is his boss. They're both at par right now, given the assignment at hand. Kimanzi is the man with the final say for Harambee Stars. He's overseeing the process, Mr. Minye. And that's brilliant because Kimanzi can get to tell him, perhaps, fingers crossed, some of the things we've been saying here, that you need to widen your scope in your selection for Harambee Stars. There's a lot of talent at club level. There are guys like, obviously, Elvis, who's the top scorer right now in the Kenya Premier League, and he's not part of this squad. Why? My suspicion is because he doesn't play for either AFC or Gor Mahia, who have produced the bulk of players for this assignment. And that's wrong because the guy has 12 goals to his credit. The closest Gor Mahia player has 6 goals. That's double of what the closest Gor Mahia player has in terms of goal tallies. So, yes, I think Kimanzi needs to tell him a few home truths. And he's the man to do so now, given the fact that he's in charge of the national team. And he can say to him, you know what, Minye, you need to widen your scope. There's a lot more talent beyond Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards, with due respect.
First match for Kenya in India is against New Zealand, so it is an impressive match. We wait and see if they will have what it takes to go out there and be able to bag it. Now, let's talk about Machakos. And when we talk about Machakos, there is a lot that is happening in Machakos. And you think about that Kenyatta Stadium. It is a facility that has been used, and maybe some people are saying overutilized at the moment because it has hosted quite a number of matches. Maybe the stadium will get tired, literally get tired, because all that pressing, yeah, it needs to get some little bit of rest. But when you speak to the governor and also the county sports CS in Machakos, they're saying that they're doing everything right, and now they're thinking of how they will get a different facility altogether to be able to host other international and also national matches. Let's listen in what they had to say.
Vijana wetu ambao wangependa kucheza michezo hapo kwa ligi zile ndogo ndogo hawapo tena. Wanacheza kule kwa mchanga na kwingine. Kwa hivyo mimi na serikali yangu tunajenga kiwanja kingine kipya hapa kwa People's Park. Kitakuwa tayari by December. Kiwanja kimataifa kabisa, ndio tuwe na viwanja viwili hapa. Mechi moja hapa, nyingine pale, ndio vijana wangu pia waweze kupata mahali pa kuchezea pazuri. Isitoshe basi najenga kiwanja cha mpira katika kila sub county. Tuko na sub county 8. Kwa hivyo zile zingine 7 pia nitazijengea viwanja vya mpira. Kwa hivyo mechi zitachezewa tofauti.
What are we doing to make sure that maybe this tension does not make the facility become an obsolete facility, because it's a place that we need, and it has been very, very fruitful for the national team, for the teams in Machakos. But a little bit, you won't go a week without us having different matches, be it KPL, the national team on duty, utilizing that facility, something good. But looking at it from the other side, maybe the grounds might suffer.
So what we're doing, and we take into cognizance the fact that it can happen. And so we are not allowing any teams to come and practice. You know how you have local teams coming and practicing, or local tournaments. We're just keeping the field for the Premier League and for international fixtures. That way it rests. And as you know, we have a borehole that has been set aside to irrigate the stadium. So there is no excuse when it comes to watering it. And we have experts on ground at the stadium to make sure that the grass is the turf is proper. Yes. So,
in what you're saying, there is a lot of work that is being done on that facility to make it be what it is now.
Absolutely. We have a team on ground, an experienced team, and FKF also stands by all the time to help us, with expertise as well. So we have done this before. We've done this before, and so now we know exactly what it is that we need to ensure the stadium stays, good and proper for international fixtures.
Yeah, you talk about those international fixtures, and this is a venue that has been used very, very much. There has been a lot of talk about how this venue is being used, and some people feeling that, yes, it is a nice facility, and we thank God because it is there. But what's your view on this?
I think if you look at the Auditor General's report and you see over time and you see how much money Machakos County has been losing, they could have done a better job with their stadium, in as much as we commend them for having one, if that money had been better utilized. So there's question marks here and there. Now they say they want to put up another stadium, and this one itself has not met a certain threshold of standards that are expected. Then you ask yourself, aren't we biting more than we can chew here? Or is this going to be another scandal? Or what's in the offing? They're saying they're going to do it by December this year. Brilliant. But can they fast up the stakes with this particular stadium that we've just seen, the Machakos Stadium? Make it, when the Tunisian side that played Harambee Stars the other day, when they came here, they said that's a cowshed. And a lot of Kenyans got angry, and I agree with them. Look at the stands. They should look better than that.
But it is a lucky day for the Stars and also the Starlets, one might argue.
Yes, but you also have to look into things like fans' safety. When you when you sit in a stand that all you need to do is stand up in a bad way and you fall down and break a leg, you have to take into such account such factors, because health and safety is very, very important. And the 2007 law in regards to health and safety in Kenya is very, very profoundly succinct and clear on a certain threshold that should be met when it comes to safety, even here at work. So there's standards that need to be met, that particular stadium in Machakos has not met in terms of fan safety. And also in terms of the pitch itself, it should look better than that. It should. There's no excuses. And they said they're going to work on that. Brilliant. Good luck to them. But there's also the question, like I've just said, the question of money that needed to be utilized better so that that particular facility can meet a certain threshold internationally.
But we thank God because we have it now, and Harambee Stars, that is where they've been going after the closure of Kasarani and also the closure of Nyayo Stadium. Facilities that maybe we hope that will become...
Moses, we need to look into when you mention Harambee Stars, our image, when it's portrayed that is the stadium that Kenya's national team plays in, does it look good for our image? I don't think it does. You have stands, one stand is there, then there's space, you can fall actually, and then the other stand, it needs to look, and it needs to be of serious high standard on basic things like health and safety.
Yeah, he's putting it in black and white as always. And yes, a lot needs to be done in a lot of the facilities. We wait and see. They are building a different facility. So I know, for obvious reason, it is expected to be big and much, much better. Let's talk about the Kenyan Premier League. And when we talk about the Kenyan Premier League, a lot has been happening in the Kenyan Premier League. And for obvious reasons, we just look and see who is where, the top and also the bottom 5 of this Kenyan Premier League. And when you talk about the bottom 5 and also the top 5, we'll start with the Gor Mahia, the team that has been on the summit of the Kenyan Premier League for quite a number of times. And when you think about Gor Mahia and the rate at which Gor Mahia are winning their matches, the rate at which Gor Mahia are going out just trying to make those statements, one might agree that they deserve to be on the top of the summit of that log with 34 points. That's not what we're talking about. But when you talk about Gor Mahia, what's your take? The top 5. Gor Mahia tops the log. Ulinzi Stars on the 2nd position and Sofapaka on the 3rd position of that Kenyan Premier League. They're teams that maybe will have what it takes to go all out and be able to maintain that momentum maybe and win it if not... if they will not be losing some points somewhere.
Gor Mahia have had an impeccable start to the first half of the season. They haven't lost a single game. The worst they've done is to draw like they did against Sofapaka, which is good enough when you're winning games consistently. They're a safe bet, and I remember the first time I appeared on this show on the 24th of February this year, I tipped them to be the team to look forward to, and they haven't let me down. So that's brilliance of them. Ulinzi Stars could give Gor Mahia a big run for their money, but then they've got to stop losing games like they did last weekend and start winning them, because Gor Mahia are winning theirs consistently, and at worst they're drawing. So Ulinzi Stars, who look like a safe bet against Gor Mahia, need to do better than that. And Sofapaka seem to be on 5th gear. Brilliant of them. If they can maintain that tempo, then they'll keep Gor Mahia busy. Otherwise, people will start saying the league is boring. It's become predictable. It's going to be Gor Mahia. But when we have the top team being chased from under by the other teams that look like they have potential to win it, it makes it all the more enjoyable and fanciful. Then there's Mathare, who are a tip to play, I think, this weekend, but without the services of their coach, Mr.
Today,
Kimanzi. They're playing today. And I don't know how they'll do without Mr. Kimanzi, especially against a side like Zukericho, who are into the habit of winning the games that you don't expect them to. That's going to be a tricky one for them. Then there's Nzoia Sugar, who have come from nowhere. These guys were sitting bottom of the pile for a good number of games into the first few games of the season. And then I had actually started thinking of them in terms of relegation. But look where they are now. And they have the top scorer of the league. So this is a side that they've left me totally out of breath, out of words. I'm just looking at them and saying, wow, 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 Nzoia.
They are doing something positive. And when we talk about the other teams that are struggling in this log, because Sony Sugar, they are on the bottom of this log, and you talk about Sony Sugar, they only have 14 points. Zukericho, a side that will be in action today, also down there on position 17, and then Nakumatt FC. And when you think about Nakumatt FC, actually, Nakumatt FC, they were down for some time. They are trying to pick up. They are trying to shape up, but money has been a very, very key, big negative factor that has impacted them this season.
Definitely. And then there's the issue of, but SportsPesa are sponsoring the league, so money should not be an issue. But it is an issue because the money is definitely not enough. And we were being told last week of certain players within the Kenyan Premier League who've gone for like 3 months without their salaries right now as we speak. So there's the 500 million Kenya shillings that was to be given to the Kenya Premier League by the government of Kenya. What happened to that story? Because there's nothing prohibiting the government of Kenya from sponsoring, giving them the 500 million Kenya shillings, in spite of the fact that Sportspesa have come on board. Although ideally, I'm not for government sponsoring football because their specific job description is to provide the kind of conducive environment that would attract a corporate sponsor or rich people like yourself, Moses, to come in and sponsor a club or two.
I thank God.
but the thing is, that money was said to have been set aside, or it was being set aside.
We are all rich.
What happened to the 500 million?
We are very rich at heart, so we're all rich at heart.
So what happened to the 500 million? It needs to be accounted for. Otherwise, it's another scandal in the making, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, looking at the teams at the bottom, Sony Sugar, I'm shocked to see them there, but they've been drawing and losing, and you don't get much from that.
We talk about those fixtures, and
yes.
When we talk about those fixtures, we'll start with today's game. Mathare United going out there to play against Zukericho. Maybe Mathare United supporters are thinking like, oh, Kimanzi is going, because Kimanzi will be out of this team maybe for some time if the national duties still come.
It's a perfect opportunity for Zukericho to beat Mathare FC. But then again, it's easier said than done, because Mathare are established. They know what they want. I think they're 4th on the log right now. And the worst they should do against Zukericho is to draw. If they lose, then the plot thickens for them, because they have to now start forgetting about chasing Gor Mahia, who are at the top, and start fighting for their own space.
We talk about different games, because this weekend we only have that one game, and this is Mathare against Zukericho, after which we will go to Wednesday. And on Wednesday again, Mathare United will have a game because they will be playing against Nzoia. Now, you talk about Mathare against Nzoia. It also promises to be a good outing maybe for Nzoia, one might argue. But do you think these games are coming this way for Mathare, with the main man in charge of the team not being part of their training, will be a big factor? Because remember, Kenya will be in India for some time.
Yes, it's a big factor, Moses, to be honest. And Mathare should beat Zukericho today, because it won't get easy against Nzoia, especially away. And I tip Nzoia to beat Mathare on that one.
Let's do this. Give me prediction, just prediction. Thika United against Posta Rangers.
Thika United versus Posta Rangers. I think Posta Rangers could beat them 2-1.
2-1. Sofapaka against Chemelil Sugar.
Sofapaka, Chemelil Sugar. That looks like a draw, if you ask me.
Nakumatt FC also have a date against Wazito.
Nakumatt FC seem to be on a resurge, and I'll support them because they're the underdog. I think they could beat Wazito 1-0 or 2-1.
Bandari will be playing against Vihiga United. I don't know what's your take on that.
Aha, now that one is a battle of kings, because Vihiga have been very impressive, if you ask me, this season. And then Bandari have been sort of consistent.
Bandari will be playing against Vihiga on Thursday.
Yes.
And the same day, Tusker will be playing against Ulinzi on Thursday. Big games.
Big games. I think I'll go for a draw, Bandari, a draw against Vihiga.
Yeah, so a lot is happening in the world of sports. And when you talk about what is happening in the Kenyan Premier League, there is a lot of talk and how these teams are just trying to shape up and trying to make those statements. A lot of the teams need to get those points. And when you talk about those points, we talk about Nzoia on the other side, because there is a lot of talk about Nzoia and how impressive Nzoia has been. I know Tyrus has been mentioning how Elvis Rupia is not a part of the national team that is doing duty at the Intercontinental Cup in India. But you talk about Elvis, he's been able to bang in 12 goals. He's sitting on the summit of that log. At the same time, he was chosen to be the most valuable player in the month, in the just concluded month. So for him, he's smiling all the way. And when you think about him, he's saying, I will be playing for Nzoia for quite a number of days to come, because FC Leopards wanted his service and they'd offered 1.5 million, but he said, no, I'm happy where I am. I will do duty for my club, and I will do that with a lot of passion. Robinson Okenye has more details on Elvis Rupia.
Season began taking shape. One name began making headlines on the scorers charts. Nzoia Sugar attacker Elvis Rupia was quickly making a name for himself, despite his team not being among the top in the country.
Usijipe pressure, una watch tu, then una score. So ikakuwa kazi rahisi kuliko vile ilikuwa hapo nyuma.
Rupia, who began to sharpen his trade at Nakuru All-Stars before moving to Nzoia Sugar, says he is here to achieve his target of 15 goals before mid-season. The attacker targets to become the first Kenyan to score 30 goals in a season.
Sijakufa roho bado. Niko tu bado strong. Niko nimeset 15 goals. Although niko na 11. Kipata around 26 to 30 hapo nitakuwa sawa.
Jaribu kwamba awako on scoring, akisema tu anafunga kila mechi kwa sababu nafasi zinamkuta. Kufikia nakwambia sasa hivi angekuwa na 15 ama 16.
Rupia, who models his game around Italian striker Mario Balotelli, says despite not making it to the national team for the just concluded friendlies with Swaziland and Equatorial Guinea, he hopes to play for the Harambee Stars one day.
Tendelea kuscore. At least next time wakitaka kuita squad, niko sure nitakuwa ndani. Jamaa ukicheki clip zake kibao, huyu jamaa anajua kufunga. So mi ucheki clip zake tu vile yeye ufunga. At least kuna vitu mimi uleta kwa game. Na kukuja kunini mapata ni reali.
The 22-year-old received the April Player of the Month gong after scoring 12 goals in 16 matches in the Kenya Premier League. He beat Zukericho's duo of Michael Madoya and Nicholas Kipkurui to the award.
Oh, it's always not easy to bang in those goals. His target is very clear because he's saying, I want 15 by the mid of the season, and during the return leg, I also want to go out there and rack in some other 15 goals. 30 goals, yeah, that will be impressive, and we wish him all the best in his quest.